Hello, friends, and welcome back to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in transform.
That was weird. Anyway, hello friends and welcome back to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Unique Toys M-01 Archimonde, their version of Brawl from the Combaticons, which, interesting to note, I don't think I've ever owned any of the Combaticons, like ever, at all. Not even with Combiner Wars and G1, like none of it. It's just never really been a team that appealed to me. Even with Combiner Wars, honestly, I wasn't all that fond of their of the team and Bruticus. Anyway, I'm going off track. So Archimonde. Why did I get Archimonde? Well, because I think he looks really freaking cool. That's why. Archimonde looks cool, even as a standalone figure. And speaking of which, for now, let's just expect that I'm going to be looking at him as a standalone. I do have Unique Toys version of Swindle on order because I like that look as well, but at the moment I don't have plans to get the entire Unique Toys Combaticon team. If there's a chance you're hoping I might be taking a look at Bruticus, or I should say at whatever Unique Toys is calling their Bruticus, the jury's still out on whether or not that's actually going to happen, just because I more got Archimonde just because I thought Archimonde was really cool as a standalone. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, Archimonde, he is a tank. He is really cool. I actually really dig just the entire aesthetic of this guy. Like, yeah, you got some robot stuff on the underneath there, but really, he's a very simple, no-frills tank. And I appreciate that a lot, honestly. It's a really nice balance of just simplicity here. It's a very basic, very obvious tank shape, very basic, very obvious tank colors, and there's just a lot of little details in here that a lot of them are also painted, which I do appreciate. Like just the little bits that are called out in black, little bits in the front called out in red, and some translucent orange for these sort of headlight things. Yeah, I appreciate how much detail is on this guy, that like it's there, but it's not the focus. So when you look at him from a distance, or just from like a regular distance, it's like you see tank first and foremost. It's not busy. It's not a really busy design. It's just tank. And I'm honestly smitten by that. It's a really nice balance between simplicity and complexity in terms of just the shape, color, and texture on this guy. I really, really do appreciate that. And the color scheme works well too. The olive-ish green with the black predominantly, and then just like little bits of gunmetal here and there, and just little tiny splashes of added color like the red and the orange. It works really, really well. This is really, really nice, really solid tank mode, with one problem. And this is something that really disappointed me because this is the first Unique Toys figure I've ever owned. I've never had any of their other stuff before. And less than a day after getting this guy, this happens. This right here. See, this is the shadows are wreaking havoc here. This is the combiner port for leg mode. And this pegs into these pieces on either side. For whatever reason, this peg and port section right here was really, really tight. And what I should have done was shaved it down a little bit just out of precaution. I mean, in hindsight, that would have been the smart thing to do. But no, I thought, well, it's a high-end company. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm probably just coming at it from the wrong angle, or it just needs to be worked in. So I finally get the thing pegged in and then notice this nonsense right here. So yeah, less than 24 hours after getting it, this almost $100 toy cracks on me. Thanks, Unique Toys. Yeah, so if you get Archimonde for yourself and this peg seems tight, or either one seems tight, do yourself a favor and just maybe shave the peg down a little bit before you try and jam it in there, because you might end up permanently damaging your toy. And that stinks. I've since gotten less angry about it. I was really mad the first day, but the more I think about it, it's like, It's damaged, but it's not, I don't think, in any immediate danger of just straight up falling off. And even if it does, it's the back of the tank. You don't, like, it's not something that you're generally going to see, even if he's on display in tank mode. And if he's in limb mode, there's going to be a big old robot thigh crammed in here, so I imagine that's going to cover up whatever damage is there. And in robot mode, this is actually on the inside of the leg, so you don't even see this. So yeah, I find it to be more of a disappointing and annoying cosmetic problem brought about by Unique Toys with not dealing with tolerances properly, I guess. But yeah, so that happened. Anyway, enough complaining about QC issues. Let's do a quick size comparison. It's going to be a tank-centric size comparison this time, because tank. So there we've got a couple more Titan's Return figures there. So you can see him next to Blitzwing and Hardhead. And what's funny is in vehicle mode, he's actually roughly Voyager size. Like, we'll do a quick just him and Hardhead, so you can see like he's clearly bigger than Hardhead. But put him next to Blitzwing, and it's a much closer size. Even like width and lengthwise. I mean, yeah, this is sort of cheating, but still, like the overall, just in a very general sense, the overall size is it's a little bigger than a Voyager, but not by much. That's because he compacts down really nicely. And of course, we have our standard. That out of the way. Now, even though I don't really plan on doing the combine mode stuff, because I probably won't, like, I at this point don't know if I'm going to have the entire team, I will do the leg mode just because getting him ready for leg mode is, like, absurdly simple. Plus, I love y'all, and so I figure I might as well do it, because I know there are going to be some of you who want to see it. So, just this down, which is difficult. Go. I'm sure everyone's already seen this a million times on all the other videos, but I'll still do it for you. And push that up. And then this just pegs in right there. I don't know why. I don't know what's with the lighting today. It's not any different than I usually do it, but for whatever reason, it's more shadowy. And there's Archimonde as a leg. So yeah. It's not bad, and I appreciate it when combiners do this more than like what Guardia and Transformations Havoc does, where it's like the legs are attached to the torso already, and then you just mash the vehicle up against them. I prefer it when the vehicle is the lower part of the leg. Though I will say, I think it's really cool how all the combiner parts of Havoc are like integrated into their Motormaster. Anyway, I keep going off on tangents. So, leg. Not bad looking. What is that? I think that's just a paint detail, maybe? Or is that a scuff? No, I think that's a paint scuff. Cool. Batting 1,000, Unique Toys. We're just doing great. Anyway, the one thing that I imagine people might be curious about, because, you know, if anyone's watched MGo's video, they've probably seen the ankle wobbliness. This one seems like it might be a little tighter, but it still does that. So, yeah, the ankle is still on this one. It's not as loose, I don't think, as the one that MGo has, but it is still loose. So that, I think, is going to be a universal problem with this guy, at least until they get to like a second or third run. Though, for this, I think you might be able to get in there. You can probably, I think if you unscrew these, that'll get you access to more screws on the back part here, and you might be able to take this apart. I haven't actually tried it myself, but it might be theoretically possible to get in here so you could tighten this up a little bit, which would definitely be nice because it totally is going to need it. So, yeah. I think that is all we need to do with the tank mode stuff. Tank mode side of things. Like I said, I really appreciate how sort of compact and neat this tank mode is. It's just very tidy. And yeah, I think that will do it. So let's get prepared here. And we'll bring it up here. And we'll go on to robot mode. And here we have Unique Toys Archimonde in his robot mode, and I am really into this. This is really cool. I super like this. I think it's worth reiterating that I was never really into the Combaticons growing up. I was not really into the Combaticons even later in life. I just kind of, it was... seem quite pegged in all the way. I don't know, for whatever reason, they just never really appealed to me. This really appeals to me. From the perspective of someone who doesn't have any pre-existing association or nostalgia for Brawl, this looks freaking great. It's such a... You can't tell because I'm behind the camera, but I'm doing like the hands out like, ah. It's such a just really nice design. It's, again, like the tank. It's very clean and very simple, but in a way that works so well. And the color scheme is pretty much the same. You've still got the same kind of greens and the blacks. Like there's a little bit more of that gunmetal color that's visible in like the knee vents and the treads on the shoulders and stuff, but really it's just like there's a little bit more gray because of the thighs and like the midsection. It's such a simple, nice color scheme, and like the tank, it's predominantly just a couple of simple colors, but there's all kinds of just little touches of detail throughout, both texturally and paint-wise. Like just starting from the bottom, you can see his feet have a little bit of extra detail and paint. Then, the shins are entirely made up of the tank, which looks good. I also really like how this panel flips out and adds a little bit of detail on the inside of the leg, with like that kind of corkscrewy metal rod going through. I don't know, it's a nice touch. The thighs also look really nice, with just like a really good kind of balance of texture, just overall like textural details. And then I really don't know why, but I like this little splash of red on the thigh there. It's like just enough to not be intrusive, but also just enough to keep the thighs from just looking like a plain old boring slab of gray. And moving on to the waist, it's also some very simple but very nice textural details all throughout here. Again, a little bit of red there. And here, like, what's interesting about the pecs here is like these, I don't know enough about Brawl to know if that's the point, but like these also, these actually look kind of like the little narrow viewing ports that are sometimes on tanks, and like that just kind of, it works thematically with the rest of the design. For the arms, they're like, suitably boxy robot arms, but like some nice little details like this black here that kind of almost forms a line like right up into the bicep area. The gunmetal here on the top of the forearm there. I mean, the rest of it is like, tank stuff, but... And I also like how the top of the fist is actually a part of the tank mode. It's like, that's pretty cool. That's a clever trick. And then here, you get a little bit of red there. There's actually, like... I appreciate how they managed to have splashes of red on his character, like in all 6 basically of the main focal points. Like you've got red, like a little bit of red here for like the legs, a little bit of red there for the biceps, a little bit of red for the midsection, and then the big red mask. So it kind of ties all the individual parts together. Anyway, going back at that head, it's weird. Like, it's a very simple head. There's not a lot to it. I'm not entirely sure how brawl it is, because again, never really been huge into the Combaticons. But I do like the black head with like just the bright red faceplate. The orange light pipe eyes, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, they work, but I tend to prefer paint over light piping. The light piping effect is weird. It's like it's not the entire visor that's lit up. It's almost like these 2 little eyes in there, which is a neat effect. And honestly, looking at it here, it actually looks pretty darn cool. I'll admit that. But, you know, I don't know. It relies on there being adequate light to get that effect. And if there isn't any, then it just looks kind of powered down. But yeah, it's a very nice and cohesive color scheme. And again, I really like just the overall design of this guy. He's very simple and boxy, but like that's kind of the point. And it's to a point where it works really, really well. This is just very cool. And as I said, the banged up part for the tank mode is actually inside the leg here, so you don't actually see it. So at this point, it's like a minor cosmetic problem. Another issue I did want to mention, though, is right here. These tabs, again, it only took about a day, but these tabs have already started showing signs of stress. And that may be because I screwed up the transformation slightly going into tank mode when I first got him and pegged the arms in like at a weird angle. So I don't think it's gotten any worse, but it was still a little concerning. But I think it's mostly just that one in the back that's the problem. Real quick non sequitur, my wife just came home and had wandered by Toys R Us, and I've got this now, so that's going to be happening. Right, so Archimonde's robot mode is just, it's so nice. I cannot properly express how much I dig this overall aesthetic. Just the simple boxiness, but like just lots of little details in there. It's like, it's such a simple thing, but it's like that really effective kind of simple that like I don't even care that it's simple. In fact, the fact that it's so simple makes me appreciate how effective it is even more. But at this point, I'm probably rambling, so we should move on to size comparisons, huh? Alright, so here he is next to Hardhead and Blitzwing. So you can see, even though the tank mode is Voyager size, the robot mode is a little bit bigger. I mean, yeah, the head, like, if you just go by where the head is, he only looks slightly larger than a Voyager, but, like, if you look at the rest of the body, you can see, like, his proportions are a bit more normal, and he still manages to be taller than Blitzwing, so I feel like this is edging into masterpiece scale territory. I don't know for sure. I'm not a scale snob or expert, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but I think size-wise, he goes through a fair bit of size shifting going into robot mode, and I appreciate that. Especially because, again, that's such a simple transformation. But I always appreciate transformations where limbs basically turn inside out to compact themselves. All right, let's get these guys out of the way. And before we go to our standard size, I just want to do one last comparison, because this is a tank-centric video. Bring in Susanoo. Yeah, I didn't do the tank mode comparison with Susanoo because I've got to go to work in about an hour, and I'm filming this like before work, and I just didn't want to take the time to transform him back and forth. But yeah, so there is Archimonde next to Susanoo. So, I mean, I don't know where Brawl stands in comparison to Bludgeon in the official canon, but still, not a bad size. I still think this guy looks amazing. Come here, you. And lastly, we have our sort of our go-to regular item comparison, I guess. So yeah, he's pretty tall. And yeah, I really like the way this guy looks. I'm very disappointed in the handful of QC issues I've run into. I mean, it hasn't prevented me from ordering their version of Swindle, because I think he looks really cool too, and I think that they look really cool sitting on a shelf or standing on a shelf next to each other. But it's a little disappointing. One other thing I wanted to talk about, which I almost forgot. I also appreciate very much just how clean this transformation ends up being, despite its simplicity. Everything goes in a place. So, like, he's got a tank turret on his back, but that's it. And as I understand it, that's kind of expected. And I really like the way this all compacts in and stuff. It's just lots of little touches that I do think are really neat on this guy. Vehicle mode is fantastic looking in its simplicity. Robot mode is fantastic looking in its simplicity. This is just a really, really solid figure. And even, like I said, as a standalone, I'm totally fine with this. Like, they could not release the rest of their Bruticus, and I would not care, because he's just neat on his own. Simple transformation or not, he's just a very, very cool toy. Anyway, I think that's going to do it. So, that has been my look at Unique Toys M-01 Archimonde. If you're thinking about it, I say go for it. Just be, mindful of specifically that tab there. Or I should say, these, come here. It's, these tabs here that were the culprits. So yeah, as long as you're mindful of that, I think you'll be fine. Well worth it, in my opinion, despite that. But anyway, that'll do it. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those three would make me a happy Rob, and remember, art is more than meets the eye.